Don't you hate it when there's a game that you really want to play, but it just doesn't fit the situation at the table right now? People want a cooperative game or a competitive game or something that's really light or something a little bit more crunchy, and you just are like, man, I wish this game had the flexibility to be all the things. Well, that's kind of what Flourish does, a game that is approachable but has a little bit of a punch to it that can be played both competitively and cooperatively, insofar as anything can be cooperative if we just say we're working together. It's a super fast garden-themed card selection game where over 4 rounds you'll be playing a total of 12 cards to get the most points, but those points are either going to be scored against one another for full victory, or, in kind of a brilliant shift of perspective, you just play with open information and work together to make sure that both of you have banging gardens, and your combined total of points is what's going to be scored against an objective to determine cooperative victory. And it's through this shifting lens and how you choose to help or hinder one another that really makes this game. In addition to the exquisite artwork of serene garden features, each card will have some combination of plant symbols, stone symbols, and aspects of scoring, either at the end of the round in which it was played or end of the game. Each turn, you'll add 1 card to your garden, then hand 1 card to each of your neighboring players, who will simultaneously do the same. Then everyone draws another card from the deck, reaching full hand size, and proceeds with the next turn. After everyone has played 3 cards, the round ends and players score the round end scoring effects that they played this round. The trick is that the various scoring conditions are based on stone and plant symbols played in all rounds up until this point, and sometimes counting or comparing with either or both of your neighbors' gardens, meaning that not only is there a sense of accelerated investment if you lean into one feature or another, but also the cards that you send to other players to add to their hands, if they get played, they may have a big impact on your own scoring. So we do this for 3 rounds, right? Well, right now you're asking yourself, but Jack, didn't you say we're going to play 12 cards? Yeah, after the 3rd scoring round, instead of proceeding as normal, you pick up the 2 cards handed to you and play all 3 of your card selections for the 4th round right then and there. Blammo! By giving you 5 cards to pick from all at once, you have the most control over this final and most important round of the game, after which you proceed as normal to the end round scoring, and then go to both the best and worst part of the game, which is end game scoring. At the end of any given round, it's not unusual to grab only 5 or 10 points, but the endgame scoring tends to be much more complex. First, you register your round-end scoring for the 4th round, then every dastardly scoring condition in the lower right corners of your cards activate. Sometimes this may only be 3 or so cards, but often the best laid gardens will have many more. At this point, you're checking how many of what flower you have, your opponents have, what's their beehive situation like, did I remember to play path cards with lilies on them? Between the final round and endgame scoring, you are likely to get a whole boatload of points with plenty of counting, comparisons, if-then results based on who has the greater of what, further compounded if you're using the expansion content, which is quite good, though adds new layers of scoring. More on that in a bit. Then, after all this, the winner is declared, or what overall prize, gold, silver, bronze, or participation, you cooperatively earned. And this final tally can feel really good. I mean, it's the ultimate culmination of your mighty gardening prowess. But it's also a dense 5 minutes of crunching numbers and double-checking scores around the table. I mean, it doesn't sound so bad, right? But in a game that usually lasts only around 20 minutes, that's a pretty significant back end where your beautifully illustrated garden suddenly feels more like a spreadsheet. It doesn't kill the game, but it does kind of feel at odds with the whole vibe Flourish presents when you're first going in. One of the best things about Flourish is its modularity. You can play competitively or cooperatively using the exact same rules, and that changes the value propositions and decision points in the game in interesting ways, and that's pretty damn cool. Additionally, the solo game against the dummy player McGregor, who undoubtedly holds an irrational hatred against blue-jacketed bunnies, makes pretty smart use of simple mechanisms where his score is subtracted from yours at the end. The box itself carries a few small variants and expansions, 2 of which are exclusive to the Signature Edition, which, so far as we know, is the only version, and they're really easy to add and just make the game a little bit more compelling. The Follies are adorable little cardboard buildings corresponding to the features, which can be fixed to cards in your garden after completing a round. Then the final round, you play your cards outside of the normal 3x3 grid established by the initial 3 rounds, and the buildings then give you points for each of their features on or surrounding their location. On the other hand, you also have an expansion with little critter friends who are distributed 2 each in the beginning of the game, after which you reveal the one that you want to use and score fat points based on what they like in their garden, because a bee's got a bee, a dog's got a dog, and an earthworm has got an earthworm, so you gots to have some of them dank mushrooms. Overall, Flourish is a light, quick-playing game with a lot of features. The things I like most about it are its overall ambience, the flexibility that it has, and just the ease of play. This is something that would be easy to teach just about anyone without them side-looking some cultist space orc theme, so it'd be perfect for breaking out at family gatherings or with newer or more casual gamers, but still packs a sophisticated strategic punch. That said, for some of the more dedicated gaming audience, I think it might be hard to find its niche. I mean, it's a little too crunchy in the scoring to be considered casual, and it's a little too casual in the gameplay to feel really meaty. But for its lack of distinction, it really shines in its charm and its flexibility. The game is gorgeously illustrated, can be played extremely fast, scales beautifully from 1 to 7 without affecting the playtime, and successfully blows my mind and making me question if any point-driven Euro can be a cooperative game if we just set some benchmarks. Is it the best game? No. But it is a solid game in a lot of different categories, and that on its own is pretty interesting. And that's our review. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Jack for the Cardboard Herald. That's what happens when you live in Alaska. If you enjoyed this video, we have all kinds of other reviews, interviews, and recommendations via writing, podcast, and video here on our channel and website cardboardherald.com. Our content is audience supported, so if you want to show your support, please visit our Patreon. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the Cardboard Herald.